Do Darth Zannah. They're asking for Zannah. They cut the name off for some reason. Here's Darth Zannah. So Zannah exists in both canon and legends. In canon, around about 1,000 years ago, Darth Bane had reshaped the Sith tradition by introducing the Rule of Two. This doctrine dictated that only two Sith could appear at one time, a master to hold the power and an apprentice to crave it. Darth Zannah was Bane's first student into this new doctrine. Now, it's not in historical record about Bane's death, but it was wildly believed that he was slain by Zannah on Ambria. This is something that Palpatine showed appreciation for, or at the very least acknowledged. In Secrets of the Sith, he noted that if it wasn't for Bane and Zannah, then he would not have been able to rise to Emperor. But in Legends, we have a lot more. Now, she was born on Somov Rit over 1,000 years ago. At the time, she was known as Rain, and she lived a relatively quiet life until the Jedi took her cousins to go and fight a war against the Sith. But determined to prove her worth, she forced them to recognize her potential, joining the Army of Light and traveling to Ruusan only for disaster to strike. Her transport was ambushed, sending her plummeting to the planet's surface, where she survived thanks to the Force and a telepathic bouncer named La. But when two Jedi Knights mistakenly kill La, something inside Rain just broke. Consumed by Rey, she kills them both with just a thought. That was when Darth Bane found her, sensing her raw power. He asks for her name and she answers with Zannah. Her journey as a Sith had now begun. Bane had given her only one command: survive. To escape Ruusan, she then manipulated the transport crew, only to slaughter them all, including a boy who was begging for mercy. When she arrived at Onderon, she then subdued the Skelder clan, and then Bane returns, cutting them down effortlessly to demonstrate true power. Zannah had passed his test, and her training officially began. Now Zannah's power grew, specializing in deception, Sith sorcery, and illusion. She forged a double-bladed lightsaber and orchestrated political movements, such as the Anti-Republic Liberation Front, driving its leaders to ruin before vanishing. Later on, she encountered Hetton, who was a noble who was obsessed with Sith lore. She uses him to locate Darth Beliadazu's fortress, and of course the secrets of the Sith holocrons. Believing himself to be powerful, Hetton was nothing more than a pawn. Bane had cut him down with ease, just as Zannah had foreseen. Meanwhile, Bane was then plagued with parasitic obelisks. Naturally, he wanted a cure, so Zannah infiltrated the Jedi Temple under a false identity. She's searching for answers, but then she becomes exposed. Only when she discovered her cousin Daravit survived. Even worse than that, he had revealed everything to the Jedi. But deep inside Beliadazu's ruined fortress, Zannah had stood beside Bane as the Jedi arrived. Now, as the Jedi stormed the chamber, Zannah had hid a data card and ordered Daravit to stay concealed. 5 Jedi entered and the battle began. Through a very intense battle, they were victorious. She then carries a very wounded Bane to their ship. She then connects him to a Bacta pump only for his condition to worsen. She commanded Daravit, who had some healing knowledge, to help, but he said even these wounds are beyond him. Knowing that Bane's survival was critical, Zannah then set a course to Ambria to seek the healer, Caleb, who once before had saved Bane's life. She then found Caleb hiding in a cellar, unwilling to help them. Even under torture, he wasn't giving up, and Zannah knew that I need you to save Bane. Furious with this, she leaves, but only to discover that Daravit had struck a deal with Caleb. Caleb would heal Bane in exchange for summoning the Jedi. Very reluctant, she's fine for it to go ahead. Caleb then treats Bane, and when he awakes, Zannah then informs him that the Jedi are arriving. He accuses Zannah of betrayal, refusing to be captured. He would rather die. Even worse, Caleb then sabotages their ship, which prevents them all from leaving. Zannah then comes up with a ruthless plan. She then kills Caleb and dismembers his body. She then shatters Daravit's mind with Sith sorcery. She then hides herself and Bane in the cellar, and then she plants fallen Jedi lightsabers near the entrance. Around 14 or 15 Jedi arrive, seeing the raving Daravit. They mistake him for the Sith that they were looking for, so they swiftly cut him down. They believed that their mission was finally complete, so they left believing that the Sith were completely eradicated. For 3 days, Zannah was repairing their ship whilst also caring for Bane. When the ship was finally functional, she explains to Bane how she deceived the Jedi. Bane acknowledges her cunning, but reminds her that she is still yet to challenge him for the role of Dark Lord. Over the next decade, the two of them then lived under false identities, expanding their Sith influence. But Bane had grew frustrated. He believed that Zannah was only waiting for Bane to weaken before she made her move. This is something that he believed to be a very unworthy tactic. Seeking a more ambitious apprentice, he secretly pursues Darth Endedu's holocron to unlock the secret of immortality. Meanwhile, he then sends Zannah on a mission to investigate the murder of a Jedi, a mission that would stage their final confrontation. Now, as Zannah was pursuing the fallen Dark Jedi, Set Hearth, Bane was chasing the knowledge of immortality. During her travels, Zannah then intercepted a signal that was only on a channel that was known to only her and Bane. This was directing her to Ambria Ambrian's ruins. Sensing that this was a final test, she went wary of a trap. When she landed, she found Bane with a female Iktochi assassin, his new apprentice, calling herself Darth Cognos. The assassin declared that she would serve whoever proved themselves as the true Sith Master. Zannah immediately challenges Bane. He struck with relentless power, forcing her on the defensive. Realizing that she needed her sorcery, Zannah had then started to summon dark side energy, only to stumble over a freshly dug grave. Bane had exploited the opening and landed a blow which cracked her ribs. Weakened and exhausted, she had no choice but to unleash her full power. Drawing on Ambria's dark side nexus, Zannah had summoned tendrils of pure darkness. One of them had struck Bane, searing his shoulder. He retaliates with force lightning before closing the distance. In a final clash, he disarms Zannah and forces her into the ground. But as Bane prepared to deliver the killing blow, one of those tendrils then severed his arm. Refusing to accept defeat, he initiates the ritual of essence transfer, attempting to claim her body and live on through her. Bane's physical form then disintegrates, and their minds had battled for dominance. For a moment they were evenly matched until Zannah had overpowered him. She then banishes his essence into the void. She lays still and her hand is spasming from Bane's lingering presence. When she rose, Cognos then addresses her as Bane, and Zannah corrects her. Bane was gone. She was now the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Zannah. Taking command, she then orders Cognos to retrieve Bane's lightsaber, and she would wield this until she would forge her own. Declaring their survival proof of the Sith's strength, she affirms the rule of two. While individuals die, the Sith endure. So all I have on Darth Zannah. How about?